I am marketing Cision as a leading company. I've been working in marketing for the past 20 something years. I'm constantly learning. Understanding your brand, I think it's staying relevant. I think it's sort of knowing your space in the industry. There's a lot of competition, a lot of people who are sort of vying for the same spot. If you can make it in Toronto, then like you've done your thing.
In this episode, I'm talking to Jessica Zuckier, Marketing Director of Cision. They're a leading global PR company with over 5,000 employees worldwide. We'll talk about one, the marketing secrets behind one of the biggest PR companies. Where are they spending marketing dollars today? Two, we'll talk about SEO. Is it still important today? And number three, the key marketing channel where Cision spends most of their marketing dollars. What is this channel and how do they make it work? Plus, we'll also try to figure out how much money this PR behemoth makes per year. And if she can't answer a question, well, we'll both have to take a shot of hot sauce. Wish me luck, Martians. Hope you enjoy this one. Hello, Martians. Welcome back to another episode of Marketing on Mars. Today, we got the marketing director of Cision Canada. She basically oversees all of marketing for what is one of the largest PR companies in Canada and even around the world. Super duper excited to have Jessica on the show. I believe she's calling from the East Coast, which I think is a holiday today, but she's joining us anyways. So Jessica, thank you for taking time out of your holiday to join us on the show today.
Oh, well, thank you very much. It's so nice to be chatting with you again. And yeah, it's absolutely my pleasure.
Yeah. So before we talk about Cision and everything, let's learn a little bit about you. You have had a very long career in marketing, done a bunch of different things before joining this massive giant of a company. Tell us about your background and what brought you to Cision today.
Yeah.
Just like your background. Yeah.
So I started in Vancouver, and I was I grew up there, and I started my marketing career there. Worked in a couple of different industries there, and then decided to move to Toronto. Just sort of saw a lot more, I guess, opportunity at that time in 2008 to sort of expand my career. So I moved to Toronto, and I've worked in, I guess, different industries and focused on social media, lead generation. I've worked in software. I've worked in a lot of different industries over the past few years. And I made my way to Cision a little over a year ago. And it's been an amazing ride since.
And then, so you kind of packed your bags, left everything behind, went to Toronto, and you've been in Toronto ever since? Like you started a family and everything in Toronto?
Yeah. Yes. So I moved in 2008, and so I can't believe it's 15 years now, which is unbelievable.
Time flies.
Yeah, it does. So yes, I left beautiful Vancouver and made my way to Toronto, and I just kind of started everything, my career and family and all that great stuff, my husband and everything like that. So it's been a really cool ride, and Toronto is such a dynamic city as well. It's really been a great place to meet people and grow my career. I've also been extremely involved with the American Marketing Association as well. Over the past few years, which I know that we chatted about before. I'm actually on their board. I'm VP Marketing, and soon to be moving up to some really exciting things, which I cannot disclose yet, but stay tuned. So yeah, I definitely have to say that Toronto has been a really great place for marketing and developing my career over the past number of years. So yeah.
Well, you know the show. You got to be careful with what you can't disclose, because I will be asking you tough questions, and you can't answer anything, because our guests, we want to know all the secrets. We want to know everything from growth and everything. If you can't answer a question, got to take a shot of hot sauce together. But I'm sure you're going to answer everything that I throw at you today. I'm not too worried. But before we jump into everything, there's a little tradition. Yes. We always start off the show with a shot of hot sauce.
Okay.
You have prepared something. What do you have? What's your weapon of choice for today?
So I actually have three. I thought I would, switch things up a little bit and see either what's going to kill me or I don't know what I can handle. So I've got Frank's Red Hot Chili Lime.
Okay. Hopefully that's the lowest one.
Yeah. Frank's Original.
Okay, it's going up. Okay. It's going up.
And I've got Sriracha.
Okay.
So that usually kills me. So I have a variety here and I'm ready. I must say that the aroma of all the hot sauces here is permeating the space. So it's very strong, but I'm ready. I'm ready for whatever you throw at me.
So you're ready. I'm ready. I got a bunch of questions that I'd love to know what you guys do at Cision, being at such a big company and all this kind of secrets behind marketing. We got some, I'm checking on LinkedIn. We got about 9 people now listening live. If you have any questions that you think you want to ask Jessica, that is tough and like all the secrets, anything goes, ask her. She's a good sport. So she'll either answer it or we'll take a shot of hot sauce together. Yeah. We also have some people on YouTube listening in. So YouTube fam, definitely ask any questions. So we're going to get started. You choose whichever one. I'm okay. I'm going to go with this Korean kind of spicy, but kind of sweet sauce as well. Okay. Yeah. I don't know what you can go with.
I feel like I'm kind of in a chili lime mood.
Okay, sure.
Okay, so we're going to start. So I noticed you have a teaspoon. I have everything from a teaspoon to a spoon to a sake glass. So
yeah, let's do this. Let's do this. I moved into a new place right now, so I have no shot glasses on me right now. Okay. All right, I'm filling this up.
Oh my goodness.
You got this.
I'm awake now, everybody. Wow.
Ooh.
Am I wimpy that like just woke me up? Because that
was... No, you're not.
It's limey.
I'm trying my best to. I always do this where I don't bring water. Oh God. All right.
I brought water. So I saw that some of your guests brought milk, but I don't know. I'm just gonna try and tough it out with water.
I have half a banana in case that's like my last resort. I'll go with the banana.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Let's dive into Cision right now.
Yeah.
So Cision is a very large PR company, probably one of the biggest in Canada, if not, also one of the biggest around the world.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about Cision and what you guys are doing. The whole story.
So we're a global company. Our headquarters are in Chicago, but we have offices all around the world. I manage all of the marketing across Canada. So essentially what Cision does is they sort of 4 main pillars. So press release distribution. We have a software platform for communications professionals. We do insights as well as media monitoring. So those are sort of the 4 main things that we do. We have, major clients sort of all over the world. And my main role that I do is I work very closely with our sales teams and I help with, really sort of bringing together sort of the brand and lead generation strategies to sort of expand across Canada, our messaging and awareness.
Yeah. And Cision is well known. Almost anyone, probably most people listening to this podcast probably knows about Cision. Are there many other PR companies that are as large as Cision in Canada?
We do have competitors, but I think that, Cision is probably one of the most well-known. It's also sort of known as Newswire as well, or Canada Newswire. Right. So that's another sort of name that Cision was before it was acquired. It was also known as that. So a lot of times, so we actually have 2 websites, and I think that's one of the things that can be sort of an interesting component is that people know us as Canada Newswire as well as Cision. So, but yeah, definitely Cision has been a market leader for a very long time, and so a number of people who've been in the business for a while know us quite well.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's awesome because your background, you've worked at various different
Yeah.
digital marketing companies. Is this your first time working in PR? Just like a strictly PR company?
Yeah, it is actually. It is. So
Yeah.
strictly pure. Yeah.
And how's that? What do you think
I,
about the PR world? Having worked in the PR world now, after almost 20 years in the marketing industry, this is your first time in PR.
yeah, I love it.
What do you
I
think?
think I find it fascinating. I find that I'm learning from people every day. I love the content that we put out. We actually just, for example, we just recently launched our global communications report. So it's essentially my organization or Cision partnered with PR Week, and they put together this amazing thought leadership piece where it basically highlights the biggest challenges and opportunities for communications professionals. And there's a very detailed report around that. And these types of things for me, it's really something that I can relate to. So for example, I've worked in other industries before, and I'm a big marketing geek, so I find sort of like marketing anything I think can be interesting. But I think now that I'm working in this space, I just find that the people, what I've learned, like I said, the content, the stuff that we put out there, I find it to be personally so fascinating and just so satisfying. So I've really loved working in this space over the past year plus.
Yeah. So my experience with PR, I've worked with many PR companies in the past, and also a lot of different PR people. I feel like PR people are just some of the best relationship builders and networkers that I've ever met, and event organizers. What
Yeah.
has been your experience working? Because you've worked with very senior people at Cision. You also work with the headquarters in US and some of the top talents in PR. What is your experience in PR? What does it take to be a really good PR person and also a PR company? Like, what are some of the main components?
I think it's understanding your brand. I think it's staying relevant. I think it's sort of knowing your space, sort of in the, in sort of in the industry. I mean, I think that there's a couple of things. I think, when it comes to Cision, it's, staying top of mind. It's people sort of understanding your offerings. It's not just press releases. It's the other offerings that we have as well. I think that's, important to stay relevant. I think, with regards to PR and communications as well, it's exactly, what the word is. It's being an expert communicator. From, the people that I've interacted with, I feel humbled every day with the people that I work with. They're so bright and creative and just really have a deep understanding of what's sort of going on in the world. So whether it's professionally or what's sort of going on in the media, it's really sort of having that insight, I guess, which has been such an incredible learning experience for me. And even though I've been, working in marketing for the past 20 something years, which is quite unbelievable, I'm constantly learning. And I think that's the thing that's really humbling and really amazing.
Okay. I want to dive into some questions I have about PR, specifically coming from a CMO's perspective. I have a few questions. Before we do that, just to give us a sense of how large Cision is in terms of scale, any stats that you can share? I've seen online some revenue numbers being thrown around. Do you guys have revenue stats that is shareable or anything to give us a sense of the size and the scale?
So unfortunately, I'm not able to disclose the certain numbers. So I have a feeling this is gonna be my first hot sauce challenge.
Oh yes, you're absolutely correct. So
okay,
yeah, let's do that.
So okay. I actually want. Okay, I'm going to take my hot sauce and then I'm going to speak because I have to take my lumps here.
So numbers are not shared. Like numbers are not going to be a good question for me to ask for today.
I cannot. However, what I can do. So what I really wanted to communicate is that Cision being PR, that's sort of one aspect. However, it gets easier. It gets easier. I have to say, the first one really got me. This one is not as bad. What I can share is, sort of heading up our marketing in Canada and, working with the global teams. I can definitely speak about our marketing and sort of successful strategies or tactics or things that I've experienced over the past year, because that's really where I can sort of do a deeper dive, not necessarily with numbers, because unfortunately I'm really not at liberty to be disclosing, but strategies around marketing, lead gen. I think some of the big challenges that marketers are facing right now, that's definitely something that I can dig into.
Okay. I think.
And not kill my stomach.
I've heard numbers. I'm going to probe one more second. I've heard numbers 10 plus million, 50 plus million. Am I getting hot? Am I warm in that area?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, definitely Cision as a global organization, revenue and market share is definitely, very high and very competitive in this space for sure. Unfortunately, like I said, I'm not able to disclose but yeah, that's, it's up there in, in the world. So
yeah, we're starting to get some questions.
Okay.
Roll in from LinkedIn and YouTube.
Oh,
we're gonna get into some of the questions.
Okay.
In a little bit, but I wanted to dive a little. I want to ask a question from a fellow marketer, from CMO to CMO. There's just so many different channels, right? As a CMO, I can either pay for paid ads, I can go SEO, I can go through, and PR is one of these channels. How effective, like when companies come to you and ask for PR, are there certain companies that you recommend to do PR? Like, for a very early stage, maybe stay away from PR because you have limited budget, and more for larger companies? Or like, how do you answer this question when people come to you and like, should I do PR? Should I do a PR push?
Yeah, I mean, I will say I don't do PR myself. I do marketing. So I am marketing Cision as a leading company. So, so I wouldn't say that I would be that person to answer that specifically. I'm more the person who is generating marketing campaigns or lead generation campaigns, or pushing thought leadership to educate the market about what Cision does. And if that is,
right.
I think one of the things, though, to answer your question, though, is that, people asking, is the press release dead? Or what are key things that one can do to amp up their press release to get the attention of journalists? And I think that's one of the things that I see is, having an organization that really gets it and really understands and is able to guide and educate people who are struggling or who may not be getting that attention, or understanding that, journalists are receiving so many pitch stories that, how do you stand out from the crowd? And so for me, it wouldn't be something that I would be advising, but however, the thought leadership pieces that we're putting out there and the information and the guidance is definitely, those key resources that help people so that they're not stuck, so that their story is being shared and they're getting that, earned media out there.
Yeah, I 100% agree with what you just said. It's about the strategy. PR in itself is not going to be the one thing. If PR was going to be the only strategy you needed to grow to $1 million dollars, then you don't need SEO. You don't need all that other stuff. You can everyone would just be spending money on PR. But it's like with anything in life, whether it's PR or ads or SEO, it's about your strategy, your holistic strategy. How do you use the other channels to amplify your PR push? If you're just saying, I'm just going to do PR, that's the only thing I'm going to spend on, you're probably not going to be super successful. but mixing it with other channels, that's the key, right?
Well, it's always a multi-channel approach, at least from my experience over the past number of years. Definitely PR is extremely powerful, and
Right.
having all of those elements in your press release, or, all of the monitoring, the social listening, those platforms that you can do to sort of measure your strategy and measure the success. But to your point from before, SEO, search engine marketing, paid social, even your organic posts. What is it? What is the message that you're trying to put out there? What is the story that you're trying to create? And even how, if you're launching a product, like how far back do you go in terms of putting together your strategy and leading up to your launch date?
Right.
Actually, it reminds me of another article, a blog article that we just recently posted. It's about Taylor Swift and her being sort of like, the queen of the product launch, and her incredible strategies as to what she did leading up to her launches, and how incredibly successful and how strategic it was going back weeks and weeks and weeks before until the launch date, and just how
Her
sort
team.
of genius that was. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Her team, right? It's kind of like Cision is fantastic. Everyone knows Cision, but it's people like yourself. You're managing a full team. It's the managers, it's the leaders, it's everyone that's part of the Cision ecosystem that makes Cision look good. Same thing for Taylor Swift. She has a tremendous team behind her doing all the pushes, right? And it's her marketing team that's really pushing that. But obviously Taylor Swift as a brand she's also fantastic, right? So there's no understating that. But yeah, no, 100% agree.
Well, definitely. It does take a team, and it does take, a multitude of strategies and channels. So because you're going to attract someone, it depends on the individual. And if you're not thinking about all of those different channels, you're not going to successfully advertise or market your brand. So, whether it's SEO or social, and putting together that well thought out plan, that's definitely something that takes the time. And then the implementation is the gravy afterwards. So
yeah. Before we dive into your role, because you are the marketing director, you're directing your whole team essentially. You're basically almost the CMO of Canada in Cision. With the amount of people that you're managing. Before we get into that and your role, quick question from Abdul Karim Awad. Mm-hmm. He says, how do you describe the Vancouver market after moving to Toronto from a PR perspective? So basically from a PR perspective, you've seen both different cities, right? You come back to Vancouver often. How's the market like? And I'll let you take it whatever angle you want.
So I have to speak to marketing versus PR. So, like I said, PR has been sort of a role. I've been working in the PR space over the past year, which has been awesome. However, I definitely want to be speaking. I'd like to speak more about the PR and marketing space, if that's okay.
For sure.
Wonderful. Yeah. So I think that it's been an interesting evolution. I think that when I moved 15 years ago, I felt that it was quite limiting being in Vancouver. However, over the past number of years, there's definitely been some amazing companies that have started since I've left. I do feel that being in Toronto, there's really sort of, it's sort of still like the hub of Canada, and that's sort of where a lot of things sort of happen. But I definitely think that Vancouver is creating its own space now, and it's really establishing itself on the map, or it has been over the past number of years. So I guess, in terms of opportunity, in terms of organizations, in terms of marketing and PR, it's really grown significantly over the past number of years.
Yeah, for sure. Are you part of just to add on to that, I think maybe what Abdul is trying to get at as well is just the whole community of aspect as well. Do you find that there's just like the communities are just more, how do I say it, more engaging in Toronto versus Vancouver?
More engaging. I mean, it's just a larger population. There's the bigger, there's a lot of the head offices, the ad agencies and things like that. I mean, no doubt when you go, I mean, I work downtown. When you go downtown and you see, you can feel the buzz, you can feel the energy.
Yeah.
And it's funny because when I lived in Vancouver, there was always sort of like this like little rivalry, like Vancouver versus Toronto. And now I've been living in Toronto for the past 15 years. And it's like, I can't throw Vancouver under the bus. It's my hometown, so I have to, I've got my Vancouver love no matter what. I would just say that in terms of the vibe and the energy, I still feel like Toronto sort of still has that. It's a major city compared to Vancouver, but don't mistake Vancouver. Vancouver has its amazing, genius, incredible, founders and marketers and comms professionals and things like that. So it's lower key. Like Toronto is more intense. It's sort of like the New York of Canada. It's intense. There's a lot going on, and there's a certain energy and vibe. But Vancouver, it has, it's going on as well. It's amazing. It's more chill. And I think that's always the way that it's been.
And maybe because to your point, maybe because there are less people, appears less engaging because it's a lower population, then they can focus more on building. So a lot of building happens here in Vancouver.
Probably more competition as well. Like the thing is that there's so many people, there's so many head offices, there's so many ad agencies, there's so many, in-house places that, there's, people, there's so much more, there's a lot of competition here, a lot of people who are sort of vying for the same spot. So, and I've always kind of found like, at least when I sort of moved, like, it was sort of like, if you can make it in Toronto, then like you've done your thing.
You can make it. Yeah. Well,
you can make it.
Jay-Z had a line like, if you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere. Right.
Yeah.
So, same thing. The Toronto, same thing. By the way, I'm so happy we were able to quote Jay-Z. This was the first episode that we were able to quote Jay-Z.
Those are my initials too, right? So you're quoting two Jay-Z's.
Quoting two Jay-Z's, equally cool Jay-Z's.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay. Let's dive into the secrets to marketing. So, Cision, just so people are aware, 6,000 plus employees. I think that's globally. In Canada, it's smaller, right? Do you know the number in Canada?
I think it's more like, I think it's a little bit smaller globally. So, so it's definitely in the hundreds here in Canada, but I would say that globally, there's, I'd say between 4,000 and 5,000-ish.
4,000 or 5,000.
Like maybe, between 4 and 5. So,
Okay. So large company. So we're talking, just keep in mind the scale, because a lot of companies that come onto our podcast are between the 10 to $50 million range. Maybe they have 100 employees. Maybe they have 60 employees. It's a larger scale. So just keep that in mind, bear that in mind. But in terms of marketing, it's still, the channels are going to be very similar. I don't know exactly what channels Cision goes for. And that was my first question is, what do you think are like the top, like, name all the different channels that you control in your marketing day to day?
Yeah. So I'm going to talk about some of the ones that I control, but I also want to sort of mention, like I said, our headquarters are in Chicago. And so like our US team is like, they're unstoppable. They're amazing. And they've got even more channels than I have access to that I will start to be implementing in my marketing mix. But I would say that, SEO, SEM, paid social, and these are things that I've done. Sort of some of these things are I've done or I'm doing, but I'll just mention some of the ones that I have access to. Right. Organic social, cost per lead programs, which I think are really interesting, where you have a thought leadership piece and people download that content piece and you're able to work with those individuals, and because they've downloaded a content piece that they're interested in and you're able to connect with them. I would say other things that I think is really interesting that we're going to be looking into that our US team is doing right now is intent data. So working with Bombora and G2, those sites. So I'm not as familiar with those yet. However, that has definitely been a very successful channel that our other Cision teams have been using. So, there's not really sort of one that I think that you need all of them for different reasons. And
Right.
so, typically when I'm putting together my strategy, and email marketing obviously as well, but you can't just rely on email marketing, or maybe that's a way that you're nurturing your current database, or getting someone to convert, or you're trying to do some sort of cross sell. So it's not even just the channel, it's a strategy that you're implementing in order to get an individual to take a profitable action. So maybe they have this, but now they have to buy, you'd like to introduce that. So you're making your campaign stickier. So they'll stay with you and see, your organization as a one-stop solution versus, using Cision for press releases, but another organization for their software platform. So it's things like that as well. So it's really kind of taking a look at your business holistically and saying, okay, how can we provide a full scope service for this individual or for this company so that they can, utilize Cision the best, or maybe, they haven't started working with insights or media monitoring or something like that. And so we try to introduce that level of the business. If they've become a customer first and they've purchased one product, how do we introduce them or assist them, guide them into some of the other services? So that's really sort of it's not another channel, but it's another strategy in terms of engaging and helping the client sort of be the most successful.
Wow. So with so many different channels, and we'll dive into each channel. By the way, we didn't even talk about events, because I know you guys do.
Oh, yes.
Well. We didn't really talk about
huge.
that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. With so many different channels, I'm already counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different channels, and we're probably missing some as well.
Yeah. I always feel like I'm missing something, and I didn't even get into sponsorship and yes, events as well. So yeah.
So with so many different channels, is your role, do you spend most of your time thinking of things at a 1,000-foot, 10,000-foot level? Or are you spending a lot of time managing the execution team? How do you switch? Yeah. Did you just balance between the two?
I do. I think what it is that you have to look at your business from, 30,000 feet and say, okay, what is it that you want to do? What is it that you want to achieve? And then it's like literally plugging in all of the different ways that you can generate your message. And, it's really because you're not trying to, spit out a million different messages. You have a consistent message, or you've, worked with the cross-functional teams to decide on this is the key messaging that we want to be promoting. So you can't be promoting every single aspect of the organization, but maybe you have, and I think this is like in any organization from a marketing perspective, you have sort of key focuses that you want to be focusing on, whether it's for the year, for the quarter, or this is sort of the main chunk of business that people are going to be engaging with and connecting with. So then with that messaging, you have to figure out how are you going to be plugging that in and what is that going to look like? So, so for social or for SEO or for SEM, how are we going to be taking this main concept and driving that all the way through from start to finish too? Because it's really not just about that messaging. It's how what's your strategy going to be from start to finish in terms of like lead gen, nurturing that lead, engaging your sales team, helping with that sales enablement and getting it all the way from like an SQL to like close one to like, a conversion or to a sale. So, you really have to be looking at that business from the whole way through. So whether it's by channel or the full funnel. So, top of funnel all the way to the end and tracking that as well. Also tracking your results. and making sure that you're reaching those targets, those KPIs.
It's a lot. And I don't want to dive into it too much because I can't imagine too many people listening to this is managing at the scale that Cision is managing. But the key idea is that there's a lot of different channels, and you got to be able to track everything from the beginning to the end, from that first eyeball. I want to know at a scale like Cision, like how much money are we talking about? And I'm curious. I'm gonna be very.
Oh no!
It's gonna bite me in the butt, but like, how much money are you spending in certain channels? Like, SEO versus
what sauce now. I am unfortunate. No, I am tied to. Unfortunately, I can't be disclosing that information, so I'm gonna have to drink a little hot sauce. I'm so sorry.
I thought I was warming up. I thought I was warming you up, and we can get these answers out of you. But
I know. Okay, I'm gonna. You know what? Let me drink some hot sauce and see how else I can. When you work for a big organization, you also have to be cognizant of what you disclose. That one went down harder.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay.
Note to self, no numbers. Okay. What about percentages?
Unfortunately, go ahead.
What percentage of the team or the spend is, because you see the budgets, what percent is going towards SEO versus paid versus events versus?
Yeah. So I would say when it comes to SEO, I would say, so again, I want to speak about Canada because I really can't speak for our other regions because we really have other regions all across the world. And, even the US, I really wouldn't want to speak about what they do because I do manage the budgets here in Canada. I would say right now, our biggest investment is SEO. That is sort of where we feel right now where we're going to be getting the biggest traction. And I think also, just because the Cision name, or actually Canada Newswire name, is so well known and sort of being, top of mind when someone, say, for example, looking for a press release, you don't want to be on page 10, so having that SEO presence is extremely important, and making sure that your site is optimized. So I would say that that's number one. And number two is probably our Google ads. So search engine marketing is probably next. So those would be sort of my top two in terms of financial investments.
So SEO and then SEM after.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And then, I think that we're starting to delve into sponsorships a little bit more. I mean, we definitely, and I wanted to actually speak to that as well, is that, not every sponsorship needs to be paid. There are ones that can be in kind, and you're doing barters and things like that, which has been really interesting as well. It's not always about the financial investment. It's about the branding and being seen in the right places by the right people. So I would say that while the financial investment is extremely important, and obviously you need to spend money in order to make money, it's also the strategic places where you're being seen in the industry, which is also really important. And just sort of having that ability to do that, not always on a financial standpoint, but, strategically, and creating those strategic partnerships, which I think has been very interesting, and that Cision has been brilliant at doing.
Yeah. Well, I know the producers have been really harsh on us, but if you want to talk to producers of Marketing on Mars, that's potentially, we'll leave that for another conversation. But yeah, I totally agree. Like sponsorships, I feel like, and I'd love to dive into this a little bit deeper. Yeah. 2023 seems like a reset year. Yeah. Like the recession, companies doing massive layoffs, and reallocating budgets now to try to figure and being a little bit more tight with their money because interest rates are going up, inflation is going up. And it feels like out of all this reset, there's one channel in community and partnerships that is growing because guess what? Like you said, a lot of community And partnerships are not always paid. It's about a win-win for both sides.
Yeah.
What are you seeing? Do you agree with that? What are you seeing in your world?
Yeah, I do. So a couple of things. So first of all, I think that organizations are charged with doing more with less. And that's really,
Yes.
I think with the recession, with layoffs, with everything that's sort of going on in the world, organizations need to be very strategic with how they're spending their dollars right now. And people like in marketing and whatnot, they need to be more creative. They have to be more creative with how they're going to be establishing their brand in the marketplace. And so, as I said, doing more with less. We simply, organizations have had to do cutbacks this year. You may have projected or forecasted that you're going to be having X amount of budget. That's not the reality right now. It's not the time. But business still has to move on. So, again, how are you going to be getting your name and your brand out there and reaching your sales revenues, with less? I would say, yeah. So, definitely these sponsorships and partnerships and events, just going to what you were saying before, to your point, I think that just the fact that we went through COVID and now there's the recession, but people are really excited to, I think for the most part, to be out there face to face in person again. People are just so excited to be doing that. And so, there's a lot to be said about just face to face in person interactions that was not something that we were able to do for the past number of years. So the fact that we can do that and you can be establishing those relationships, sitting at a table, sitting at a lunch, sitting at an event, and getting that could be that's dollars that you can take to the bank. And it's not necessarily through advertising and through big splashy campaigns, but that is human to human, people speaking to one another, old fashioned, old school. That's also extremely effective. And especially in this day and age, people are dying to meet and connect again. So, we've done a couple events, and definitely this year we're going to be engaging in more. And whether we're doing large sponsorships or maybe scaled down, definitely being present, having our presence, having our team at events and interacting with other people and establishing those relationships, that's huge. So, you don't really want to sort of, undercut that idea. These things are still extremely important. So,
yeah. One of the things I love that, and it's so true. Like one of the things that I've been thinking about this year is, how do I get all these amazing people that have come on the podcast, like yourself? We've had CMO of Alo Yoga, CEO of Acquire.com, all these amazing people. How to get these people together? Everyone's spread out all across. You're in Toronto, I'm in Vancouver. A few months ago, I was in Korea. We got people in San Francisco, all over the place. I will come up with the answer soon. And if anyone has any opinions, and you're included, Jessica, would love to hear, because it is like P2P, that person to person or H to H connection.
Yeah.
It's like a new hashtag this year. It's like,
it is
B2B. It's B2B, but at the end of the day, it's two people connecting and making a decision together. Yeah. So that connection is so important. 100% agree with that.
And I think also just aligning with organizations that really reflect your business or reflect your goals. I think that when you're aligned with organizations that your business, where there's that synergy, I think that's really important. And that's how you get great people together, because there's a commonality and people are aligned, with the same values and beliefs. And, when you have that with the person to person connection or human to human, it's just like, it's explosive. It's amazing, because you're fully like all the stars are aligning.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. We got a question from Manuel Silva Jr. What other B2B social platforms, B2B social platforms are you using aside from LinkedIn to push Cision's brand in front of the right people?
Social platforms.
Other B2B social, I guess, I don't know if TikTok and all these are considered B2B specific.
I think for us, like at least for Canada, we really focus on, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter. I think those are sort of the four main ones. And then, of course, when I think of B2B, I think of like our email marketing platforms as well. It's not a social platform, but it's a way to sort of to get your message out there and to be, measuring, all of the data points and things like that. But I think that, for us, we still sort of do the traditional ones. We don't have a TikTok channel. I think that when you're doing that community building, it's definitely something that you need to have the resources for that. You need to have, I think, a team and really someone who's specialized in TikTok and, to be able to be conveying that messaging, because it's a completely different platform. And even though it's been around for a little while, I think it's one of those ones that it's still growing and people are still, I think, I don't think that I've been doing social media for a number of years now, but with TikTok, I think it's one of those ones that it's still the newest social platform, so to speak. Yeah, that, getting that strategy, doing your video content, doing something that's like maybe fun, but still professional. I think that's
it has to be fun. Yeah, TikTok has to be fun.
It does. And it has to be engaging. And I think that large companies, we still have to wrap our head around that and have a team dedicated to that. And so, I think it's a fabulous platform. And obviously it has gained so much traction. It's not just, I remember when it seemed like it was just for like teenagers or whatever. And now it's like all ages. It's so inclusive of so many different individuals and industries, but it's still emerging, I feel like, in some ways. So.
Yeah, for us, TikTok is like our second largest platform in terms of engagement. Because like you said, it's fun content.
Yeah.
There's hot sauce. It's very casual. It's unscripted. And we got interesting guests. So you got the educational piece plus the fun piece. Each episode, we break it down into different shorts and 5 different shorts. So we probably get about 400 per clip, 400 views per clip times 4. We usually get about close to 3,000 views over there on TikTok. Yeah. And sometimes like even more, sometimes 8,000 just on TikTok alone. And
yeah, I know it's so powerful, and it just
trying to figure it out. And like to your point, everyone's still. I don't think anyone has gotten the secret sauce. Some people have done really well because they started early. Yeah. But I like. What are your thoughts on social? I feel like social is becoming a little bit more fair. Like the algorithms have really removed a lot of fake bot. It's still there, but it's becoming more and more fair. Like, are you
mean from like a community building standpoint or a messaging standpoint? Like,
from an engagement standpoint, and also community building, because community is also engagement. It feels like I'm seeing a lot of channels that used to get millions of hits per month drop down to 15,000 because those are real views.
Yeah.
Have you seen that at all?
I mean, it depends. I mean, like, it sort of depends on which hat. If I'm wearing my Cision hat versus sort of like my marketer hat, I think that there was a time where people were paying, for likes and things like that. And there were all these weird things kind of going on, especially on Instagram, especially, a couple of years ago, where they just wanted those numbers, but that's not true. That's not the truth. You're just seeing some numbers, but but the bottom falls out because it's not true viewers. It's not true human beings. And at the end of the day, I would rather be, for example, like a micro influencer with a dedicated following than have all of these fake, inflated numbers with bots, because at the end of the day, you're not getting that engagement. I think that I'm kind of crossing over from like marketing to more like influencer type of marketing. Yeah. Right, but you want people that are engaged with what it is that you stand for or your brand or whatever it is that you're promoting out there. So, I think that in terms of social, every platform has its own flavor and its own purpose. Like LinkedIn has its own purpose and its own sort of like flavor. And it's almost like I can feel it like when I think of LinkedIn, I want to sit up straight and I want to be professional. But when I think of
Yeah.
like Instagram or when I think of TikTok, it's a whole other universe. It's a whole other feeling.
Yeah.
And I think, just kind of going back to what you were saying before, I think that from a corporate standpoint, having like a TikTok influencer, someone who's really honed in on that, I think there's so many more branding guidelines. There's so many more things that you need to think of. It's not like a curated post with a nice picture or a curated video. I mean, for things like this, like you have to have some sort of, I wouldn't say star quality, but you have to be engaging. You have to be interesting. You have to give people a purpose as to why they would want to watch you and interact with you. So if anything, like people need to be, you have to be a lot more creative and strategic in a different way. And I think that getting people's attention these days, you have to be more creative and more strategic. You can't just stick to, the run of the mill stuff. I mean, you could, but I think that the interesting thing about marketing is that, it just keeps evolving. It keeps changing. And, it's just what you did last year or what you did a couple of years ago, like, forget it. Like it's done now. 1 million people have done it now.
Yeah. And we're talking about social, like social changes really quickly, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's TikTok or Instagram or LinkedIn, the algorithm changes all the time. But then to your original point, how important SEO is for you guys. SEO also changes every 4-6 months. Like,
yes,
you don't want to, you think you're number one now and you just don't invest in SEO for 2 years. Good luck. See what happens after 2 years, because things have changed so much in SEO. And now with ChatGPT, with all the AI text, now it's getting even harder, because now AI is going to be able to sniff out all of the copied and recycled text. Yeah. And now experience is super important, right? The experience, they added the experience, expertise, authority, and I forget what the T stands for. But there's like a few rules for SEO. And like, it's just crazy. Like, what are your thoughts on SEO? Like, do you guys do a lot of your SEO?
What am I thought? Oh, do we have another hour? No. No, I think, well, first of all, I think that SEO is so incredibly important. Being searchable, being findable, it's so important. And I think the thing that's really scary is that, you can't just rest on your laurels and expect your site just to do its thing. You have to maintain your site. You have to either do it in-house, or you have to have a third-party company that really knows what they're doing. You will be penalized. Your site will get penalized if you don't maintain it. It's like, I don't know. I think I was explaining it the other day about like maintaining your car. Like you wouldn't go for like years without getting an oil change, and doing all of the necessary things to take care of your car. Well, your site's the same way. It's actually more than that. And it's not. It's writing content that's SEO friendly, that's optimized for SEO. It's consistently optimizing your site. It's being aware of all of the different Google. All of the different changes that are taking place, to make sure that you have sort of the latest and greatest, items that are sort of implemented onto your site. You can't leave that. And, I've seen it, so many times where it's been neglected, and, or you have individuals who in organizations that don't see the value, and then they don't understand why they're showing up on page 10. And they're like, well, we can't find you, or why is it that we're here? Or we're an industry leader. Why can't people find us? And so, I can't say enough how important SEO is for a company, and to have someone dedicated to making sure that it's always optimized.
Well, that's why you guys invest so much in SEO, right? That's your number one channel. You outsource that, right? You don't have
We do.
Or do you have an in-house team?
We don't. I mean, we have folks. For us, we've outsourced, but then of course you also have to have your in-house team who understands it and who's able to maybe implement those changes. Or
because you can't just trust it 100% to a third party, because what if that third party
Well, or it's just, it's sometimes it's the day-to-day stuff. Like you need people who are in-house, who understand what some of the requests are, the requirements, and have an understanding. So, but again, I mean, I'm talking about a large organization that has, full-time in-house teams doing that.
Exactly.
And I'm, like I said, I'm speaking from an organization that has all that. But, if you're a small company, either you have someone that has a hybrid role, because SEO is definitely a very specialized role. Either you have someone in-house that understands that, or definitely be investing in a company, in a trusted company that can manage your website. I mean,
Yeah.
out of everything, like, I think that's one of the things that can be a little bit difficult, is that you have to look at it as the long game. I think that people think like, with an ad, you get it's instant gratification.
Instant, yeah.
Right? Or like social, like, oh, I got this many likes, or this many form fills, or this many whatever. Yay, I was successful, or I wasn't successful. That's fine. But SEO is the long game. You can't be looking at it as like what's going to happen tomorrow. But if you have implemented something at the moment, you have to be looking at what's going to happen in 4 to 6 months now. But the good
6
news,
months, 7 months. Yeah.
Yeah. But the good news is that once you've implemented it, you're going to see the returns. You're going to keep seeing those returns. You're going to keep getting that traffic. You're going to keep getting those leads. But, again, you can't just leave it. You have to keep maintaining it. So I think that's what's extremely important, is that you have to acquire a good resource or a good organization, and you have to keep doing this. This has to be part of your marketing mix. It can't just be like set it and forget it.
Yeah. Well, same thing for us, BC Jobs. I'm sure you guys have way more pages than us, but even at BC Jobs, we have like 40,000 pages, because we're a job board, right?
Wow.
We have so many.
Wow.
That's the company where I'm the CMO at. And we also outsource our SEO to a company that they do the SEO for big companies like Coca-Cola. Like these are kind of people that you need to trust to manage a large site, right? There are levels to everything, right? You're not going to hire a college football player in the NFL level. Like you need someone that has NFL level experience. I mean, not to say that they're not good; they're all good, but there are different levels to things.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no. I was gonna like pass it over to you for a couple of final words. I think we're just about running out of time.
We are. Wow, time flies.
Time just flew by.
Wow.
But I was gonna say, like, your level of expertise is amazing, and I think a lot of people listening to this call, myself included, can learn a lot from your experience. What would you say? Like, what would you say is like your one biggest strength, your superpower that allowed you to excel in your career? Yeah. If you had to pinpoint one thing that, Jessica is just like world class at this.
Oh my gosh. I think it's just my ability to adapt, and my ability to sort of look at a business from 30,000 feet and figuring out what needs to be done. And then I think that my time management, my organizational skills, because what you were saying before is, which I thought was interesting, said, you've got all these channels and all of this messaging and all of these things going on. And I think that really having that ability, to look at the business and being able to plug in all of that messaging so that you can generate profitable results. I think that, having that ability to sort of like pivot and multitask and being able to sort of time manage all of those things. I think that, it's not sort of one thing, but I guess those are sort of the elements that I think I've honed in on over the past, not at the beginning, but over the past number of years that I've been in this industry.
And it's like constantly learning too, right? Like it's,
oh my gosh,
constantly changing.
Yes. And I think that, it's not I wouldn't say that it's my superpower. It's not a superpower, but I would say that having the ability to be a lifelong learner and pivot and fast fail, I think that those are the things that are really important. Because I've been in this industry for the past number of years. I remember doing like direct mail. I remember bringing my stuff, my direct mail pieces, my print to the Vancouver post office downtown back in the day. Well, that doesn't apply anymore. You have to be, marketing is very humbling. You have to be constantly on your game, constantly learning, constantly being open to learning new things. And so, and then being able to pivot. Like you could think that a campaign's going to do amazing. It doesn't do amazing. Okay.
No.
What are you going to do next? Out next. Okay. And keep going. So, yeah, I would say that that's also really important to be in this business.
Cool. And final question, and I think we'll wrap up. Is there a person that you attribute all your success to? Like, is there like one mentor that always has been there for you for the last 20 something odd years, or a friend or a mentor, just, someone that you're like, okay, I learned so much from this one person?
I wouldn't say it's one person. I think that it's been an evolution. I think that it's just continuously growing. I think it's just exposing yourself to, I think with marketing and this industry is that it's being around a lot of great people, because you can learn from so many great people. You can learn from junior people. You can learn from senior people. So I think for me, it's just being like a sponge and just taking all of these different resources and constantly taking in different perspectives and consistently learning. So I don't have one specific person, but I can say that, different individuals I've met, being a part of the American Marketing Association has also been really amazing. At Cision, I have met incredibly talented people at all levels who continue to inspire me each day, where I feel humbled and I feel like I'm learning so much from them, and I'm very grateful. So it's just sort of that constant process of learning and growing and being coachable and open to hearing from what others in all different levels of management or in their levels of profession have to say. And I think that's what keeps people current and has allowed me to be, to move through my career.
Well, that's a cool thing. Like, all these questions I just asked you were supposed to be one word answers or 5-word answers. No, but there is no secret, is my point. There is no secret one answer for anything in life. It's just a lifelong learning. And clearly, because there's so much to your answers, Jessica, we can feel your experience, your life experience, and it's just lifelong learning. There is not going to be one single answer to anything in life, So just keep growing, keep learning, listen to podcasts like this or other podcasts, and just learn from other people that have done it, and just be a sponge. Yes. I think that's a great, that might be the title of this video if we post it. That's a good one. But Jessica, it's been amazing talking to you. Every single time we've only spoken a few times, but it's always been super fun. And we always tend to go overtime every single time we chat, but super fun. And good luck with the rest of your role. I know you're a year and something in, but I think 2023 is going to be a good year, and let's definitely stay in touch.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. It's a lot of fun. Thank you so much. Okay. Yeah.
We'll definitely have to get you back for round 2, but
thank you.
We'll increase the spice level next time.
Okay, it's a plan. Sounds like a plan.
Okay. All right, guys. Take care. Thank you guys so much for joining, and we'll see you guys next time. Hey, I hope you enjoyed that episode. And if you want to learn more about marketing, just hit that subscribe button and check out all the other videos we have with CEOs, CMOs, and founders. We post weekly here, so this way you won't miss any future episodes. Also, you can leave me a comment down below on what you think about this episode, and also what else I can do or ask to make the show more fun for you. See you later.